are listening to the most original talk radio station anywhere. We are LA Talk Radio at latalkradio.com.
You're listening to Peace Fund Radio with Adrian Paul and Ethan Detmeyer, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Oh, good morning. Feeling happy and excited about all the stuff we got going on at the moment, Ethan. It's kind of cool. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Ethan.
Good morning. I'm excited, too.
Yeah, it's cool. We have our first World Cup coming up this weekend.
That's right.
World
Actually,
Cup.
the action starts
World Cup.
tomorrow.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is true, isn't it?
But the real action, my friend, starts Saturday at 3 p.m.
That's right, Saturday at 3 p.m. Well, why don't you announce it? Because
well, in an effort to support the Peace Fund, something we're all eager to do, Adrian Paul and myself, along with Mark Ryan, who many of you know as Bumblebee in the Transformer films, including the new film, Age of Extinction, Black Sails, and many of our other celebrity friends are putting together a extravaganza. If you're into soccer or you're into the World Cup in general, this is your event at 3 p.m. at Waikato and Burbank, 150 South San Fernando. We will be there for a party that's going to be basically England versus Italy.
I am split.
And you're
totally split.
But
actually, not really. But anyway, go on.
Well, it's funny. I thought it was going to be the Battle of Libya all over again. But the reality is it sounds like we have a lot of Brits. It really becomes evident how many Brits we have around us on this show and Combat Radio.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm already being tweeted and texted photos of people in their British soccer jerseys, and all of a sudden it's it's getting very, very hyper aggressive out there. But it promises to be a fun game.
That's what happens when the English get involved in this, and the Italians. They're both mad about soccer. I'm going to have to talk to my cousin about this. You know that. I
have to ask you a soccer point of view in a minute. One thing I want to say about the event, though, it is the event itself is sold out. However, at 3:30, we may be opening a few spots for people that come down. But it looks like it's going to be pretty packed, and it'll be a chance to raise some money for the Peace Fund, a chance to do some good. We've got all kinds of crazy soccer prizes, soccerness ready to go down, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Most of the contributors to this show and Combat Radio on Friday will be there, and in rare form, because there will be both soccer, hooliganism, and also there's a bar in the establishment, so you never know what's going to happen. Did I actually invite that on the air? Invite that kind of trouble?
Does that mean I can bring my kids?
You can bring your kids, actually. Okay. I think my daughter will be there.
My son likes wine.
Yeah,
that's what he says. Every time there's a bottle of wine, he says, wine. No.
I met your son recently at a birthday party for someone who will remain nameless, and he was in fantastic spirits. So I would say bring your kid. I think a lot of people are bringing their kids. I mean, it's soccer. It's not like we're going to be...
I know. I'm just.
But what I will say, too, and what I wanted to ask you about this whole soccer thing, because let's be honest, soccer is a pastime, and we love it.
In some people's lives, it's not.
Well, that's a shame, because they don't know what they're missing. But what I wanted to ask you, and I found out a story recently, actually, that the original World Cup trophy was stolen and is still, in fact, missing. And what they use now is like a Phase 2 trophy.
Is that right? I'd heard about that. Some guy's got it on his mantelpiece, some very rich person.
Or doesn't even know he's got it in his attic.
What is it? It's the World Cup. The World Cup stolen? Is that what it is?
World Cup, the original World Cup trophy, named after the World Cup founder, Remy, was stolen, and it has never been found. In fact, at one point, there was an auction where FIFA bought what they thought was the trophy, but it was a duplicate, and they paid like £300,000-400,000 for it.
I was going to say, because it's worth, it's Jules Rimet.
Yeah, they say the Nazis stole it, which is, I doubt the Nazis would really put a task force on the World Cup trophy, but, there's all kinds of stories, because actually Mussolini's Italian team won it just before World War II, and so the cup was in the possession of the Italians, not only for that immediate 4 years, but for the duration of the war until the World Cup resumed in the 50s. So how about that?
Do you want to hear it? It's an 18-karat gold trophy, and it weighs 6.17 kilos.
Not bad.
There you go. Basically, so many world-winning captains have lifted the trophy, but they still can't find it. They believe that the value is actually equivalent to the Mona Lisa. Well, think about that, because millions and millions of worlds around people around the world.
You know what I think? I think some American GI after the Battle of Anzio, stumbled upon, probably hid out in some attic or some Italian basement during a firefight, stumbled upon it, shoved it in his duffel bag, brought it home, didn't know what it is, and now it's a generation or two removed in someone's attic.
To be honest, they basically said that it was once Brazil won the trophy for the third time in 1970, they were allowed to keep it permanently.
But that was a different trophy,
No,
right?
that was the real...
same
Yeah,
one?
but it was stolen again in 1983, and it's never been found. They believe it's been melted down for its gold.
Yeah.
Which you could understand with that amount of gold. But
it's silver underneath, right? Isn't it gold plated?
No, it says gold. It says the glistening 18-karat
This
gold
just goes
trophy.
back to what I always say, which is you can't trust the Brazilians, period.
Now you just brought out a word of hurt on you.
And I don't care who
world
they're
of
playing
hurt.
tomorrow. You cannot trust them. I just wish we had a few of them to play in our charity soccer game when we do it, because I want a piece of these
Do you
Brazilians.
know I haven't played soccer since we last played because I ripped my stomach muscles and my ankles.
Yeah, you were a walking mash unit.
I
But
was,
for those of us who are training actually for the next extravaganza,
good.
which will be even more celebrity driven, we're all looking forward to it. The question I wanted to ask you is this, and I know it's not about the World Cup today, but is England going to play to win or play just to not lose? What is England going to do?
Excuse me, people. We have to go off air for a second while I strangle you.
No, I'm absolutely serious in asking. Because
No.
I do feel that a lot of teams,
No, England doesn't do that. I don't think England does that. Mind you, I could be wrong.
England just loses while they're playing to win.
That's funny. That's probably true, actually. That's
Remember
probably
that
true.
goal last time that the U.S. got on opening day, or what was it? Really close to the top of the tournament, where it just kind of glided past.
Yeah, I know.
Gut-wrenching.
There are a couple of them that just unbelievable. And there's one with Germany when the ball, England scored a goal. It was over the line, clearly over the line. It was disallowed.
But see, that's this time around though. They have replay. Did you know about that?
Yeah, they had replay at that point.
But they've got it now, and they're
they-
going to be able to send it down to the referee. He's going to be able to rescind his judgment.
Well, that's actually interesting.
No, I think that's about time.
It's about
though.
time, yeah, because things like that are just... It's just...
It's
unfortunate.
They say they'll be able to do it inside of 3 seconds.
Well, the great thing is that when that has been a discussion for many years on that type of playing field, because it does change a game. You're down 2-1 and you score a goal that equalises you. It changes your intent in the game. If you suddenly are down 2-1 and then the team scores on you, you get a goal disallowed and the team scores on you again. You're now 3-1 down and the heart goes out the game, and suddenly that can seriously affect a morale.
Yeah. Well, we have Italy, England.
Yeah, we do.
Like I said, it's the Battle of Libya all over again. We know how that ended for the Italians. Who's going to win on Saturday? We'll all be there together to watch. God, there's a lot of Brits in our organization. I cannot believe how many, literally British nationals we work with. You don't see it unless there's a soccer game, and then all of a sudden they identify themselves.
That is true. I have friends that tell me they're British, but they try to do their British accent and it doesn't work.
Yeah,
anyway.
Yeah, embarrassing.
We're talking today about malnutrition. It's a global problem. What is it? What is global malnutrition? It affects billions of people currently. It's from undernutrition and overnutrition. Traditionally, undernutrition is prevalent in developing countries, and obesity is an epidemic in developed countries. Recently, obesity has been increasing in developing countries, leading to a double burden of disease, especially in urban settings. The difference between hunger and malnutrition is that malnutrition means the body does not have the necessary vitamins and nutrients necessary to grow or fight off disease. That's why I just mentioned under and overnutrition is affected, because getting those vitamins and nutrients is essential from both ends of the spectrum. In developing countries where sanitation is poor, lack of nutrition only makes children and adults more vulnerable to disease. So for all of you out there, here's a question for you, and you can tweet your answers to #PeaceFunRadio. All right? Here's a question. Which region of the world has the greatest number of hungry people? Is it 1, Africa, 2, Asia and Pacific, 3, Latin America and Caribbean, or 4, the Middle East? Okay, so which is it? Africa, Asia and the Pacific, Latin America and Caribbean, or the Middle East? I'll give you that answer later in the show, but you can tweet that to #the Peace Fund, #the Peace Fund Radio, and we will get those answers. So let's go a little bit more into this subject. When a person is not getting enough food or not getting the right sort of food, malnutrition is right around the corner. If people get enough to eat, they will become malnourished if the food they eat does not provide the proper amounts of micronutrients, which again, as I said, vitamins and minerals, to meet daily nutritional requirements. Disease and malnutrition are closely linked. Sometimes disease is the result of malnutrition. Sometimes it is a contributing cause. In fact, malnutrition is the largest single contributor to disease in the world. The rise in overweight and obesity worldwide is a major public health challenge. It's people of all ages and backgrounds face this form of malnutrition. And as a consequence, rates of diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and other diet-related conditions are escalating worldwide, and they're very difficult to treat in places with limited resources. So who are the most vulnerable? As we know, kids happen to be in that number. They're the most visible victims of undernutrition. Children who are poorly nourished suffer up to 160 days of illness every year. Poor nutrition plays a role in at least half of 10.9 million child deaths every year. 10.9 million kids die every year and because of being malnourished. Undernutrition magnifies the effect of every disease, including measles and malaria. Vitamins and minerals, also known as micronutrients, are critical components of good nutrition. Without them, kids develop birth defects, blindness, and an inability to learn properly, among other long-term disabilities. And here's another fact for you. Every year, more than 1 million children under 5 die from vitamin A and zinc deficiencies. Vitamin and mineral deficiencies affect up to 2 billion people.
Scary.
Yeah, I mean, these numbers are staggering. I mean, I never even thought about that. But I mean, it is tough to. I mean, do you take your vitamins every day? Do you know what foods have the right vitamins for you, the right nutrients for you?
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is I don't think most people do.
Probably not.
I mean, I take vitamins, I forget my vitamins.
Well, I do too at times. But I mean, I have them and I know to...
And hopefully you get some of them from the foods that you eat. Because the fruits and vegetables, you get a lot of nutrients out of those. And having those raw, I usually have a shake in the morning, which is just fruit and a little spinach and maybe some other stuff that I might need. And I just drink that down. It's so delicious. It's actually very good. You can put whatever you want in it, but at least you get something in your body at the beginning of the day. And Ethan's sitting there going, yeah, I do that too.
No. I used to do a lot of that. I don't do the shake anymore because for my own reasons, I would fully load that thing with all kinds of fruit, protein powder, and what I realized is it was about 1,500 calories.
Yeah, well, that's the key. You can't. I mean, there is a way to do it where you don't have to put as much protein powder in it.
Right.
If you don't put the protein that is muscle building and stuff, it doesn't have as much fat content in it or carbs in it. Then it's a leaner body protein that you're actually putting into your body.
Right. So I've shifted to a sensible breakfast that I try to have every morning. More of a continental, egg white, some fruit. But I don't do the shake. That's why I was sitting in silence. I was remembering the great days of being able to just blend a breakfast.
Well, blending breakfast, it depends on what you put in it. If you just put fruit in, if you put pineapple, oranges, apples, any pear, peaches, raspberry, blueberries. I mean, blueberries are very good antioxidants. There are certain foods that you can get. You put all of that in there, you've got virtually no protein, no carbs in that amount of fruit there. Put some almonds in it and put some cashews in it. That type of stuff. And even if you put a little bit of oatmeal in there, there's no actual carbs in oatmeal. You put a little bit. It's filling.
I'm like a crazy scientist in there. I'll pack any possibility. I'll explore.
That's the problem.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I don't do it. And I would do that probably 2 or 3 times a day on the go because of my schedule. But you know what you should do? You should put your own recipe out there for a morning breakfast shake.
Well, they've done it. I mean, P90X.
Well, I know other people have done it, but I mean, this is Adrian Paul. We're not talking P90X.
Oh dear. Who Index?
Yeah, whoever they are.
Actually, don't do that. That's John Bealey's favourite. Well, actually, not P90X. It's Insanity. I think is his favourite.
Either way, that's not you.
But it's all about the nutrition. It's all about
We need a Peace Fund civil service manual authored by you that talks about all these things and what can be done about all these things, but also has a recipe for a health shake in it. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, we're talking about our genre, our area of life, but the acute hunger of starvation, which is often highlighted in TV screens, mothers too hungry to breastfeed their kids in Ethiopia, or refugees in Syria queuing for food rations, helicopters airlifting high-energy biscuits to earthquake victims in Haiti or Pakistan. Those are the real issues, because then you're getting absolutely no nutrient. These situations, they result from, usually from high-profile crises like war or natural disasters, which starve a population of food, yet emergencies account for less than 8% of the hunger victims. 8%. So daily undernourishment is a less visible form of hunger, but it affects many more people, from shanty towns of Jakarta in Indonesia and Cambodian capital of Phnom Penh to the mountain villages of Bolivia and Nepal. In these places, hunger is much more than an empty stomach. For weeks, even months, people must live on significantly less than what is recommended, which is 2,100 kilocalories that the average person needs to lead a healthy life. So, the body's basically compensating for the lack of energy by slowing down its physical and mental activities. A hungry mind can't concentrate, a hungry body doesn't take initiative, and a hungry child loses all desire to play and study. So it causes a lot of different things. Like we talked, the domino effect. On our show all the time, we have the issue about the domino effect and how it affects so many other problems in life that don't lead us to having a healthy, positive attitude or positive forward-thinking progress in our lives. Poverty is the main cause of hunger, and hunger is a cause of poverty. When people go malnourished, they lose brain functionality. Can't talk again this morning. And mental resources to be productive, and as I said, be an asset to society or even earn money. What are the numbers? Numbers are an estimated 146 million children in developing countries are underweight, the result of acute or chronic hunger. All too often, child hunger is inherited. Up to 17 million children are born underweight annually, the result of inadequate nutrition and before and during pregnancy. At least 20 million children suffer from severe acute malnutrition, and another 175 million are undernourished. Only 3% of the 20 million children suffering from severe acute malnutrition each year receive the treatment they need. We've got to do something about this. This is ridiculous.
This is ridiculous.
This is just not right. I mean, this is when we have our events that we'll be focusing on a lot of causes. We will have causes such as malnutrition and water and things like that we will donate the monies that we earn for the Peace Fund Games, which will be coming up in November, as well as the any of the monies that come into the Peace Fund in the meantime, as well as the poker tournament that we have with Microsoft that's going to be in October, as well as what we will receive from the golf tournament in August, the David Frey Memorial, which you can see on our site. So a lot of these issues that I'm talking about will go to these to solve some, and it's probably a very small percentage, but at least it's something of this massive problem that's facing our kids. I mean, you have 43 million children under the age of 5 are now obese or overweight. But in Africa, 40% of children are so chronically undernourished by the age of 5 that they will never physically fully recover or mentally develop. Now, there are 3 hunger spots. We call them hunger spots in the world. Syria, one of the most dangerous places in the world to be a child. 5.5 million Syrian children have been affected by a brutal 3-year conflict. 2.8 million of them are no longer in school, and more than 1 million are living as refugees in neighbouring countries. For these children, what's at stake isn't politics. It's their future. A lack of access to food, soaring prices, and a collapse in food production has left the children of Syria at risk of malnutrition. A lack of security makes gathering data on child malnutrition rates extremely difficult throughout Syria. However, all available evidence, including spiralling food costs, a collapse of infrastructure and food production, and testimonies of individuals experiencing with hunger, suggest Syria's children are facing a mounting struggle to feed themselves. A basic human right to eat More than 8,000 children have arrived at Syria's borders without their parents. 4.29 million children inside Syria are poor, displaced, or caught in the line of fire. 1.25 million of them are living as refugees in Lebanon, Jordan, Iraq, Turkey, Egypt, and North Africa. Now, there's a doctor writing from a field hospital in 2014, in February 2014, said something very simple. We have to drink from polluted wells and wash in the sewage. We eat leaves and rotten rice. We don't have baby milk. That's what they are living in right now. The Central African Republic has been engulfed in violent clashes between political factions since December 2012. That sounds like my phone. Can you hear that?
That is your phone, buddy.
Is that my phone? Hold on. Maybe I'll just see who's calling me this early in the morning. Well, I have no idea. It was one of those callers. But anyway, children in Central Africa, the conflict affects 4.6 million people, half of them children. Children are especially vulnerable during armed conflict. Thousands of kids have been recruited by armed groups. Insecurity and lawlessness are widespread. Children are struggling with hunger even before the conflict began. 1 in 6 children do not survive past the age of 5. 1 in 6.
Terrible.
That's if you've got a group of 4 kids, if you have 4 children in your family, think about it. One of them might not be able to survive past the age of 5. 24% of children are underweight due to poor nutrition. Even before the crisis, only 34% of children completed primary school. Now, 70% of those children have stopped going to school since the conflict began. The number of kids treated for severe acute malnutrition at the pediatric hospital in Bangui, I want to say that Bangui or Bengal, I'm mispronouncing it, has tripled since the crisis began. The last spot is South Sudan. 50,000 children are at risk of dying from malnutrition. 5 months of conflict have significantly disrupted the food supply for millions of people in South Sudan. Fighting between rival ethnic groups has caused mass displacement across the country, and more than 3.7 million South Sudanese are now facing food insecurity. I don't know how you could possibly live in that type of environment. You know, every morning we get up in the morning and we go, oh, my life sucks. Well, I've got this problem, that problem.
I don't say that.
No, but sometimes we get so over...
Who are you pointing at?
I'm not pointing at anybody. I'm just saying a lot of the time we get up and we bash what we've got. But you've got to think there's somebody else that is in much worse condition than you are. And these figures prove that fact.
Okay.
No, I just want to
understand.
let that
I
sit for a second. Do you know what I mean?
Point, yeah.
I mean,
our challenges are not nearly as great.
No, they're not. I mean, you know. Let's talk about what we can do about it. I mean, we've talked about the heavy issues that affect us or affect kids around the world. Mm-hmm. There are organizations that do make a difference. World Food Program, www.wfp.org, is part of the United Nations and is voluntarily funded. On average, WFP reaches more than 80 million people with food assistance in 75 countries every year. In emergencies, they get food to where it's needed, saving the lives of victims of war, civil conflict, and natural disasters. After the cause of an emergency has passed, they use food to help communities rebuild their shattered lives. You can help right now. You can take a hunger quiz and feed a child in www.wfp.org/hunger. Every person who takes this short hunger quiz, a child will receive a warm meal thanks to an anonymous donor to World Food Program. That basically, so it's so simple, guys. Test your hunger IQ, then challenge your friends, and you can help feed a child. It's a simple way to do it. It will take you a very short amount of time. Action Against Hunger. www.actionagainsthunger.org, a charity navigator 4-star organization. There is a global humanitarian organization committed to ending world hunger. They save the lives of malnourished kids while providing communities with access to safe water and sustainable solutions to hunger. They save lives while building long-term strategies for self-sufficiency. Check out these organizations now so that if you want to do something very simple that doesn't require a lot of time, may require some money on your part if you want to donate. But these organizations are doing a lot of good. Oh, it's so sobering this morning. Where's John Beerley? We need another up note at the moment. Do we have
Good
John?
morning. Good morning,
John.
gentlemen.
How are you, man?
Doing very well. First of all, happy Father's Day to Adrian Paul and Ethan Dettenmeyer. Father's Day right around the corner.
When is it? I don't know when it is. I have no idea.
It's Sunday.
It's Sunday, buddy. Let me bring you up to speed
Is it
on
Sunday?
a few things. Yeah.
Yes, it is Sunday. It's Sunday. And of course, happy Father's Day to all of the dads who are out there listening to our show today, including my own favorite dad, Roger Beerley, and my dad. Happy Father's Day, Dad. And while we're on that, I also wanted to say happy 100th birthday tomorrow to my grandmother, Mary Beerley.
Wow, fantastic!
Yeah,
happy birthday.
Yes.
Oh,
so hopefully I'll get those genes.
Oh dear.
But hunger. Hunger is a tough subject, and there are a lot of numbers out there that are very, very distressing. But as always, there are people out there who are doing something about it. Here's a number: how much of all the food produced in the United States in a year? What percentage in a year of the food we produce is wasted?
What percentage? That's a large percent. I've always had that issue. You know, the issue about restaurants, all the food that goes wasted in restaurants and stuff. I would say at least 25 to 30%.
It's 40. It's 40. 40% of all food produced in the United States is wasted. And I'm getting this number from one of our incredible heroes of the week, Gabrielle Posard of Donate Don't Dump. You can find out all about what she's doing at donatedon'tdump.net. Gabrielle says that as a result of 40% of the food produced in the United States being wasted every year, we have 300 million barrels of oil that are wasted in transporting this wasted food to landfills, 25% of fresh water wasted, enough wasted food to fill 91 Empire State Buildings, $31 million worth of food wasted each year. Food is the single largest source of landfill waste by weight, and rotting food creates methane gas that is 25 times more potent than carbon dioxide. Scary numbers.
Do you remember the girl we highlighted that actually started an organization on the East Coast that took fat and recycled it for fuel? Do you remember that?
I do. I don't remember her name.
So went into restaurants. We'll check it out afterwards. But they now have an organization that actually recycles the fat that restaurants use, and they then collect it, dump it into depositories that the county takes away, and then recycles that into energy for homes and electricity.
That's fantastic.
Stuff, which I think is a great idea. Same thing. Why waste it? I mean, I'm sure there's so many ways. I mean, there are issues involved in it, but there must be other ways we can actually support the food that we waste.
Well, Gabrielle has had a lot of luck herself. Her organization rescues and distributes 20,000 pounds of surplus and short-dated food every month. And they're closing in on a total of 1 million pounds of food that has been rescued and distributed, rather than going to a dump, actually distributed to the people who need it. Have you seen
that show, John? I hate to interrupt you. Have you seen that show that actually it's called the something like the biggest misers? It's something like the cheapest
I have not
people
seen
on the
that
planet. I think it's called like that. And basically, what it is it shows people that are really cheap and how they survive. Well, one family went into a depository where they had outdated food. A lot of it was canned, etc., but it was outdated food. So my question is, how good or not good are the dates put on the side of bottles and packages, etc., that makes it expired? Because I'm pretty sure they do it. There's a very time limit sensitive portion of it that actually it's not that excipired. It's just safety.
Product. That's a product.
Yeah,
I know. It's a tough question, but you know.
And it is, I know my wife goes. It does, as Ethan said, it's something that's very product dependent. I mean, obviously, milk, you don't want to go too far past the date, but canned goods are,
raviolis,
depending on what it is, are a lot more
Yeah,
a lot
well,
more subject to change there.
I basically look at my wife sometimes looks and goes, oh, it's outdated today or tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. It was out of date yesterday, so we don't need it. No, I'm like, no. Let's smell it. See, we just taste it. If it's okay, I'll eat it. I think there's something that you don't have to throw away some foods.
Yes. And like you said, there's always someone who needs it. We've had so many great heroes who have had hunger as their cause. We had Lucy Blossom, who she sells CDs from her website at lucyblossom.com. Just by selling CDs, she was 9 years old when she started recording her music. From age 9, she has sold enough CDs from her website to feed 37,000 kids.
Oh.
She then fed an additional 57,000 kids from money raised at a concert she performed in Philadelphia. 9 years old. We had Will Lorsey of the Fort Worth Frogs. Will actually called in to our show last year, age 10. Will was just an absolute hoot on the show. He just had so much personality, and he gave us great tips to every young person out there who wants to start their own food drive in their neighborhood. He's raised all kinds of money to feed the homeless and needy in Fort Worth, Texas. We had Kylie Trawick, who hiked the Appalachian Trail to raise awareness and food for the hungry. Armani McFarland of onecanmakeachange.blogspot.com. She also called into our show last year. And of course, most recently we had Joshua Williams of joshua.heart.org. 14 years old and has collected over 500,000 pounds of food for the homeless and the needy. So there are kids out there who are getting it done and working hard to distribute food to the people who need it. And as always, we just wish sometimes that our big nations could get done what some of these kids are doing. It's incredible.
Well, what I think we should be doing in the next coming weeks? I think what I want to do is actually bring some of our past guests on the show, as well as our past heroes on the show, to find out how the past year has gone for them. I think we need to get some updates here.
Absolutely agreed.
So we can do it. I know you've got a new hero of the week for us this week, John, right?
We do. Our hero of the week this week is 16-year-old Brittany Amano, who is a junior at Iolani School in Honolulu. From age 8, Brittany, witnessed lots of hardships in her own family. There was a short period of time where her own grandmother was homeless. She and her mother and her sister had to spend some time in a domestic violence shelter as victims of domestic violence at home. And one of the things that young Brittany noticed, despite all of the hardships that her family had to go through, is that there was always someone there to help. There was always someone who was very good to them in their time of need. There were the people who helped her grandmother when her grandmother was hungry and didn't have a roof over her head. There were the people at the domestic violence shelter who were there for her and her mother and her sister, who took care of them and gave them hope and encouragement. And by the time she was 10 years old, Brittany knew that, maybe I could help other people in the way that people helped me and my family when we needed it. Her first step was to create an organization called Hawaii's Future Isn't Hungry. And later, she would create another organization called Teens Stopping Domestic Violence. And these are both organizations, again, that were inspired by her own personal experiences and wanting to be able to give back and help. She has raised over $600,000 and to date has collected over 84,000 pounds of food for various organizations. And one of my favorite parts of this, she has recruited over 400 youth volunteers, 400 young people who are out there working hard and inspiring others in the same way that Brittany has, which is just absolutely incredible. She's also won several awards. Most recently, on April 2nd, she was presented by Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard with the Running Start Emerging Young Leader Award in Washington, D.C. The Congresswoman said, "Brittany has created significant positive change before she even has a high school diploma in hand. Brittany is a perfect example that you are never too young to raise your hand to serve and have an impact," which is, again, absolutely incredible. And if you read through some of Brittany's activities, she never stops. She raised money for tsunami victims in Japan. As a member of the school's Key Club, she raised funds for tetanus medication and a pediatric trauma center. She puts together care packages for children of deployed soldiers. She puts together care packages for the graduates of alcohol abuse programs to encourage them to keep doing well in their own lives. She has worked hard with providing high school girls with leadership training. She was recently a speaker at the TED Technology Conference. I actually, right before the show, put one of her video presentations on our Peace Fund Twitter at Peace Fund Radio, so you can check out the video of Brittany's very inspiring, very informative presentation there. And I've got some really great words actually from Brittany herself from one of her speeches. I am an emerging young leader because I am passionate and determined to better my community and inspire others to do the same. My past experiences have motivated me to start 2 nonprofits. I started Hawaii's Future Isn't Hungry after my grandmother became homeless, and Teens Stopping Domestic Violence after seeing my mom being abused, and after she took my sister and me to a domestic violence shelter. She goes on to say that she has learned from various women leaders and has had the opportunity to meet such female leaders as Condoleezza Rice, the CEO of Generation On, the president of the Hawaii Chamber of Commerce, the CEO of the Young Women's, the YWCA of Honolulu. She goes on to say, I came from a small city located in the middle of the Pacific, with people from every ethnic background. Being multiracial also sets me apart. As a minority, a young woman, and someone coming from a family living below the poverty line, people might say that I face many challenges to become a leader. I see these challenges as what empower me and make me unique. I feel fulfillment when youth tell me that I inspired them to start their own social ventures, or when a homeless man at the park thanks me for showing that I care. Wise words.
You know what
Brittany.
You know what I find interesting, John, is that it's not just one thing she wants to solve. It's a whole bunch of them. It starts with one, and then you realize that it feels good to actually be able to be part of the community and help the people around you come out of a situation that they have no control of, or that you can actually help them better themselves or better their lives. And then that goes, oh, I can do this and I can do that. And obviously, Brittany, if you're listening, Brittany from Honolulu, you are the hero of the week this week. Congratulations. But keep the good work up, because I think it's important to show other people, other kids around you, that even somebody as how should I put it, young as you are, and young, I know you're 16, but young's not that young, but even still, through this time, you've actually been able to help a lot of people, and so congratulations.
And looking forward, one of Brittany's goals is to become a politician. So one of these days, I look forward to voting for Brittany as president, because I think she's already on the right track. Again, she's involved in so many different things in so many different ways to inspire different kinds of people. $600,000 raised, 84,000 pounds of food collected and donated thus far, and she just keeps going forward and reaching a wider audience. You can actually follow Brittany on Twitter at Brittany Amano. Her last name is Amano. And we also put out a link for her Twitter on our Peace Fund Twitter earlier today.
Well, I think you just summed that up very well, John, as per normal.
What about our answer to the quiz from earlier?
Okay, so what would your answer be, John? What would you say? Have we looked on the? Have you looked on the site as to what the answers are?
Yes, unfortunately, I would be cheating if I.
Oh, you did. You saw the
if
answers
I did,
already.
I did.
Okay.
I did.
So what do you think?
Saw
they are,
Beverly's
Ethan?
notes on the outline.
What do you think they are, Ethan? What do you think? Africa, Asia and the Pacific, Latin America and the Caribbean, or the Middle East?
Now, how is this broken down? That's my question.
Well, Africa
per square footage. Or
no,
per
the greatest
population?
number of hungry people in the world. We'll give it to you in two different ways. One is the highest percentage, and one will be the highest number of people that are hungry in the world. And I think it may surprise you. There's Africa, Asia and the Pacific, Latin America and the Caribbean, or the Middle East. Now, those of you who tweeted might get surprised. What do you think, Ethan?
I'm going to say Asia.
Asia and the Pacific. Well, you
Although
are,
I also like South America.
well, you are actually correct.
Am I?
Yeah.
'Cause the
Asia
Middle
has
East-
the largest number of hungry people. 578 million people. That's larger than the entire U.S.,
Yeah, it's serious.
right? But sub-Saharan Africa has the highest prevalence, 24.8% of the population, or 239 million people. Those numbers are staggering. You know, when I grew up, I just thought there were two simple, basic things. I get fed and I get watered. You know, it's like, but most people don't get that. Why is that? Why is that?
Are you asking me?
No, I'm just, it's a rhetorical question
I was
in a
gonna
sense.
say.
Why is that? Have you ever had to deal with anything like this, John? Any hunger in your any issues in your life or people you know?
No, not really, not really. You know, again, as I've said, before many times on the show, I grew up in a very small rural community, and it's. I think there were always people around to take care of somebody if someone needed it. I've always been very lucky in my own life to never have to worry about those kinds of things. I said my dad is the hardest working man I know. So we never really wanted for anything, but
let's put it like this. Ethan, you actually enlightened me onto the church that basically distributes food to the local community. So the simple thing is, guys, if you have food in your closet, look at your local food bank. Look at your local Presbyterian church or a program. Very simple to find. I'm sure you can find them in your local paper or in your local online. Ethan, we discussed this. We did this once, right?
Yeah, we have, and that's a great way to. It's a great message to send to people. It's a great way to help your local community.
It's simple.
Yeah.
It's a small box of something in there, but remember, if like 50 people put a small box, you can actually feed 200.
Yeah.
And again, there are so many. Every community has ways to help. Contact your community centers. Find out what's going on in your community. My dad is retired, but he drives around for Meals on Wheels. Where they just basically just load up a big box of meals that they drive around and take to elderly members of the community who are unable to to get out and don't maybe necessarily always have someone at home to take care of them. People in need. There are programs in every community. Just find out what they are. And you could always use the example of our Heroes of the Week. If there aren't organizations in your community that do these things, you could always start one of your own.
That's a very good, valid point.
That's
You
right.
could start one of your own. A simple,
Because we have, again, we've had kids. We've talked about kids on these shows, 4, 5, 6 years old, who have gotten ideas and started collecting and distributing whatever it is that's needed in a community, whether it's books for the library, whether it's food for someone who's hungry, or awareness for a disease or social issues, whatever it be. There's always something that you can do. And if you don't like what's being done, come up with your own way. But whatever it is, if you want to help, there's always a way.
Good point. There's always a way. Always a way to help. Now, do we have anything else, John, right now that you want to actually talk about before we move on to any announcements that we might have?
Well, as always, follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Did you guys hear that lightning strike?
Was it in your
what that
place?
was?
Was that what that was?
Yeah. Yes, that was a lightning strike right outside the window. Wow.
We have had a moment on Beast Fun Radio.
Wow.
The lightning hit.
I can't see any
Frankenstein
damage
out there.
out the window, but it was certainly close. Wow. All right. But anyway, yes, Twitter and Facebook at The Peace Fund, at Peace Fund Radio. And we would like to thank Nancy, who has, taken over those accounts and just really blown them up with incredible activity and information. So thank you, Nancy, for everything you're doing. Follow those guys. Follow Adrian at Adrian Paul 1. Follow Ethan at Combat Radio. And of course, you can tune into Ethan's Friday show, Combat Radio, where all of the best names from sports and music and film will come on to talk with Ethan about the issues that matter to you.
Thank
Now,
you for that.
just so that you know, we are creating a social media team. We are still looking for a couple of people to help join that area. So if you've got any experience in social media, or you want to help Nancy and her people just put some stuff together, over these next few months, we're going to have a lot of things we're going to talk about. We've got our paintball event, which is going to be huge. We're going to be dealing with a lot of different charities, a lot of different celebrities who want to raise money for their own charity. That's what the Peace Fund Games are going to be all about. And we want to let people know about it. The more people we get to the event, the more money we will be able to raise for the Peace Fund and for these other charities. So if you have a social media background, or if you actually think you can actually help out in that area, you can contact us at the Peace Fund. You can find the address online, or go to the Peace Fund Facebook pages. John, do you want to tell what those pages are?
Yes, facebook.com/thepeacefund and facebook.com/peacefund radio.
Right, or if you have any other, there's also Camille at thepeacefund.org, CAMILLE at the Peace Fund. If you have something you want to help us with, if you think you have some experience in some areas that might work for us, we're also looking for volunteers. We still have a lot of volunteers we've got to still sort through for our upcoming events, but the better, the more the merrier. So,
yes.
We do still look for people at all the time, because we like to have backups in all our positions. So, if you do, we'd love to have you. What else, John? Sorry, I didn't mean to stop you in the middle of that.
No, just as always, everybody just, help us get those links out there. We hear from people all the time who say, hey, I would love to help out, but I don't have the extra money. I don't have the extra time. You can always help us spread the word. So help us spread the word on Facebook, on Twitter, The Peace Fund, Peace Fund Radio. Tell your friends, tell them about the show. LATalkRadio.com. You can go to the archive and download all of our past shows. It's all there. We love doing this. We have a great time every week. We talk about things that are really important, and you can always help us spread the word by pointing people to the show.
And we're also looking for a couple of young writers maybe that might be able to help us with some of the text that we need to put out there, which includes some of the summaries, right, John?
Yes.
Some of the stuff we might want to help out there. We've got a couple of people we're looking at right now for that. But again, that's another position you could help us in. Again, it would be half an hour a week that would take up your time in that particular position. But please help us out. That's what I'd like to say now. Okay, now we've done that portion of it. Let's talk about the charity event we've got coming up tomorrow. Yes. John, are you a soccer hooligan?
I'm not. I'm not.
Oh, my God. You know what? He answered before I could warn him how to answer.
We can make you into one.
Good heavens. We can rebuild him.
If I were there, believe me, if I were out there, I would be on that field.
Oh, dear. Well, so do you watch soccer at all? That's not one of your sports, are you?
It's not. It's not.
No, you're in the Midwest.
This is the greatest sports tournament known to man.
To the world.
Yes, this surpasses anything else. The World Cup soccer in the right setting with the right crowd is the best sporting event you can witness in your lifetime.
You know what I find? I mean, it's funny because it is not a mainstay of American culture.
Not at all.
Yet. Because I think it's everywhere I go now, I see soccer fields, soccer. But the American team does very well. It does very well.
That's debatable.
Well, listen, you have to understand something. All these countries have been there for, 50 years playing soccer in tournaments. America's not. America's national team has only been there. Actually, I would love somebody to actually give me the exact amount, but it's not been there at these major events.
My expectations for America are very, very low. You don't have to kiss up to me with this America's competitive speech. Ivory Coast can knock us out of the tournament. Okay, Cameroon.
That's not true. That's not true. That's not true. America got to the quarterfinals. Are you kidding me?
Don't expect it this time around.
Well, maybe not.
I think they're going to surprise some people with the change-up, with Donovan out. I think they're actually going to be much faster, but I don't expect them to do it. It'd be great if they did, because that's obviously my team. But I think you can expect it to go to the powerhouses this time around. But it'll be entertaining all the way.
Well,
the game after ours.
You know what I'd love to be? I'd love to be in Brazil
So would I.
Oh gosh, I'd
Yeah,
love
so
to be.
we
in
would
Brazil.
never come back though. That's the
That's the
problem.
problem, yeah.
It'd be like we'd be like MIA Vietnam
Well, actually,
style.
hold on a second.
We'd never come
Tomorrow's
back.
tomorrow's June 13th, June 12th. Yes, June 12th.
Tomorrow's 12th, yeah, because our event's on the 14th.
Well,
And
you were wrong. Brazil play Croatia tomorrow.
yes, they play tomorrow,
Brazil tomorrow, and then
Yeah.
Friday, Mexico, Cameroon,
and that's
as
going
well
to
as
be good.
Spain, Netherlands. That'll be another good one.
Yeah, Spain Netherlands is going to be fantastic. Little Euro Cup payback. You know, the game after ours actually, and our event goes on all day into the evening until the police close it down. But it's not only England, Italy, but the following game I think is very interesting: Japan, Ivory Coast.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I think it's going to
it
be because
does.
these teams that don't get a lot of soccer cachet from the press always like to make a big statement early.
Well, Cameroon does that.
Cameroon
is
does
one of
do that.
Yeah. Anyway, listen, we could talk soccer all day, but I don't think we've got enough time to do that. Listen to us. We will be bringing you all we will probably bring some of the highlights to you next week on the show just for
We'll
fun.
bring it to you through social media on Saturday.
And we'll bring it to social media as well on Saturday. So check it out. You can find all the information on the Peace Fund site. John, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you, guys.
And thank you for all the work that you do. And as well as thank you to all of you out there that support the fund and have come in to help us as volunteers. We are really moving forward right now, and I'm really happy for that. Thanks, Ethan, for joining us. Thanks to the Speechley family for making this show possible. And in closing, Mother Teresa, God bless her, said one thing. If you can't feed 100 people, then just feed one. This is Adrian Paul and Ethan Dettenmeyer. We'll see you again.
You're listening to Peace Fund Radio with Adrian Paul and Ethan Dettenmeyer, right here on LA Talk Radio.